this week's show. That's where you can catch up on what you've missed. Find out what happened backstage when a listener challenged Dr. Annie Gray on the origins of the word pudding. Now, we've had some emails from the listeners re our show we did in Golders Green, where we were talking about the best salt beef. Andy Young from Silversmith in Tunbridge in Kent said, I'm a firm believer in starting with really fatty brisket, so the fat takes on the flavour of the brine. I don't want to give away all my secrets, but I also add juniper berries and star anise to the brine to give a slightly more exotic taste. Well, that's good to know. Dave Weingart says, I'm a New Yorker now living in London. The perfect salt beef sandwich, good chewy seeded rye, and brown mustard. English mustard is too sharp and overpowers the meat. Well, I'm not going to argue with it. If you've got any tips or thoughts on any of the subjects we covered in today's Kitchen Cabinet, do get in touch. The address is tkc@bbc.co.uk, or you can go on Twitter, #BBCTKC. Now, when we were in a couple of weeks ago, we talked about that city's role in the sugar trade in the 18th century, when the sweet stuff was becoming more widely available. And sugar was much less available during Shakespeare's lifetime, wasn't it? But it still played an important role in society.
Sugar's at this point where it's becoming available to more people than it was before, so you're no longer parading it through the room in between courses in the shape of subtleties, but you still want to show off. And you get the development of a thing called the banqueting course, often taken in a separate room or even a whole separate building. So sometimes you come across banqueting houses in country houses, and people would parade off along the lawn to go and feast their eyes on this beautiful array of essentially sugar-based goods, so wafers, biscuits, fruits in syrup, fruits in sugar, crystallised flowers, all sorts of things, all predominantly based on sugar. So you're really screaming, look at me, look how wealthy I am. And you get the development of really quite fantastic things, such as an entire dinner service or dessert service made out of sugar. Sugar plate, which is made with rose water and icing sugar, sometimes a bit of egg white and some gum tragacanth. Imagine seeing that when you're used to eating off silver or pewter or even earthenware, and then getting the chance to do that to it.
Oh, you've just broken it. This is a tragedy.
Can I try it?
Yeah.
Oh no, now everybody's breaking. Oh, how does it taste?
Shall I try some?
It's sweet. What, you just want to throw something at me, don't you?
Well, yes.
Go on
Ready?
then, go on. Marvellous. While I'm breaking that off, Paul Edmondson from the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust is still here. There was sort of a relationship between Shakespeare and sugar, wasn't there, in his sonnet?
Well, when they're first referred to in 1598 by the clergyman Francis Mears, he calls them Shakespeare's sugared sonnets among his private friends, which suggests that there was something very rarefied about them, something very valuable, something absolutely exquisite, picking up on some of the things that we've been hearing about with the foodstuffs, sugar stuffs.
I wouldn't go that far with these bowls. They're not. I wouldn't put them in the exquisite.
And
and as we said, every week Annie Gray produces all this stuff from history. She puts an awful lot of effort into it. Then she comes in and we go, oh, that's horrible.
And he was known as Sweet Master Shakespeare. He's referred to as sweet several times. So are you to my thoughts as food to life, we hear in the sonnet.
We asked our audience, what's the most impressive thing you've created using sugar at home? Lucy Worrell from the South said, spun sugar is far harder than it looks. So obviously there have been disasters there. Sam Baines from Kenilworth, I made a Yoda birthday cake using royal icing. Like it? We did. Now, Jockey, is there any kind of sugar craft people can try at home?
One's almost like a stained glass window, which is quite an easy one to do. And it's like, when I brought some, it's like boiled sweets. So just buy boiled sweets and lay them out onto a tray with a silicone mat, a baking parchment, and put it into a low oven.
So we're talking boiled sweets in different colours?
Yes, we're taking out the wrapper in different colours.
Okay. Take them out of the wrapper. That's good advice.
Play some kind of...
This is Michelin-starred chef here with top tips in the kitchen. Take your boiled sweets out of the wrapper. Go on, we're with you here.
And as I place them together, we're not close enough together, but probably about a centimetre apart, and then place it into a low oven, about 100 degrees, and then let it melt. And it'll all melt and go to one sheet. And you'll kind of have this like stained glass effect, which you can then let cool and then snap off and stick it around the cake.
Can we go back to Zoe Ball? I just saw you nodding vigorously. Are you now going to be buying boiled sweets and melting them in the oven?
Yeah.
That's definitely happening, isn't it?
Definitely.
We have a sugar and icing related question from Claire Buckland from Shipston on Stour.
Hi, what's the best icing to use on cupcakes?
You see, cupcakes. I happen to know that you've said a word that creates strong emotions in some members of our panel. Andy Oliver, do you have a view on cupcakes?
I hate cupcakes. Quite passionately. I mean,
I do recall before we had the current wave of cupcake tsunami, it just drives me nuts, actually. Like being at home, having a moment of reverie, thinking, I remember those little fairy cakes, like with the little wings, and you make a little dip and you put the little butterfly cakes. I'm feeling a little nostalgia for those, and then a year later, swimming through layers and layers of cupcakes everywhere I look. So, for me, no cupcakes. No kind of icing on no cupcakes is the best thing to put on a cupcake.
My daughter will be gutted on her birthday.
I'm sorry, but I do apologise to your daughter. Have an eclair, love, seriously.
If Jockey Petrie could be of any help to Claire, what would you ice a cupcake with?
Well, I am on their side, but I've also got to give you a bit of advice as well. So I would recommend, if anything, to try and lighten that topping, because it can be very heavy, greasy, fatty, and not very pleasurable to eat. Though it kind of looks good, but I think anything with like a meringue. So make like, I don't know if you know, like an Italian meringue?
Yes.
So the Italian meringue, and then beat in soft butter at the end. And so it's like, it's kind of adding a lot of sweetness to it, but there's actually a bit of lightness to it as well.
Does that help?
Yes, that was the reason for my question, because butter icing is just horrid.
Yeah.
I think that may be what Annie and Andy really disapprove of.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a final question from Toby Brown from Alderston.
Okay, if you had to take one meal from the classic pub food menu into room 101, what would it be and why?
So we're talking about the pub food dish you hate so much, you want to see it removed from the repertoire.
Removed from the face of the earth.
I think we have to ask you yours first.
Well, mine would be scampi and chips.
What?
Well, I'm glad someone agrees with
So,
me.
Jockey, you're saying scampi and chips?
Yeah, I'll hear your story first.
Why do you hate them?
I just think it sounds so lovely and so disappointing when you cut into the breadcrumbs and all you get is hot air and mush. And I don't think I've ever seen a scampi. I'm not sure what it looks like. I've never seen one in on the scampi.
Well, the real thing should be the tail of a langoustine, which is a very exotic thing to do with
Going to the wrong
langoustine.
pubs, I think.
Jockey.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's like you get that terrible breadcrumb on it, and it's just like soggy breadcrumb, and it's mush inside. But it's actually, as I said, it should be a langoustine tail. And I remember it used to be scampi used to be that, and then it turned to. Well, it isn't just cheap fish now. You get the rubbish tartar sauce, you get rubbish scampi and chips, and I think it doesn't deserve to be there. Get it in room 101.
Andy Oliver.
I think the thing that's tying this all together, it's about disappointment, isn't it? Because the menus talk it up, and you think, so for me it's pies. I love a really good pie and perfect pastry. Every time I try and get a pie in a pub, it's like this awful greasy, it's too thin, and then there's that gap again, where the filling's down in the bottom, there's a huge amount of air, and then this awful, sort of weird, rubbery, bad, like bitter pastry on the top, down the patch.
Tim Anderson, you're an immigrant to this country.
I am.
You've been in some pubs, though, I understand.
And I love pubs. And as an immigrant, I'm not in a position to judge most of
Oh, you are.
But I will say I am in the position to judge burgers. And I wish pubs would stop screwing up burgers. So often it's dry, badly minced, flavorless meat, badly seasoned, with badly thought out toppings, slices of tomato that are nasty and mealy and too thick, rocket, like I don't know where that comes from. Just do it, and the buns that are all wrong, floury focaccias and ciabattas, and no. Keep it simple, get the ingredients right, get the balance right, do me a good burger, or get it out of my face.
For me, actually, it's the ploughman's lunch. It was invented by the Milk Marketing Board as a way to flog cheese, and it's just a way of putting a whole bunch of stuff on it's always on a board instead of a plate, and it says, oh look, we're so rustic, but no you're not, you're just another pub chain. Oh, we all feel a lot better for that. That's it for this week's Kitchen Cabinet. Next week we're in Clitheroe talking Lancashire hot pot and the curious cult of Benedictine. For now, goodbye from me, Jay Rayner, Andy Oliver, Jockey Petrie, Tim Anderson, Dr. Annie Gray, and our audience here in Stratford-upon-Avon.
The Kitchen Cabinet was produced by Peggy Sutton. The assistant producer is Darby Dorris, and the programme is a Something Else production for BBC Radio 4, and it's available to buy as a download. Coming up next, the last Queen's speech of this government and the Liberal Democrats in the doldrums. What does all of this indicate for the political year ahead? The Week in Westminster is in a couple of minutes.
On BBC Radio 4.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to start our descent into
New writing, short stories, and seminal works.
Turner, it's Jack.
Can't be. Jack's dead.
Do I sound dead?
Starring Ian Glenn, Jessica Rain, Hayley Atwell, and Eric Jacobi.
Now we knew for sure we weren't alone. We almost wish we were.
For more information, search online for Dangerous Visions.
BBC News at 11 o'clock. The Education Secretary Michael Gove says parents in England could have money deducted from their child benefit if they allow their children to play truant, then refuse to pay fines. Speaking at an education conference in London this morning, Mr. Gove said the Conservatives would bring forward more stringent rules on school attendance if they win the next general election.
We need to ensure those parents who don't play their part in ensuring their children attend school, ready to learn, and showing respect for their teacher, face up to their responsibilities. We will, later this year, be outlining detailed proposals to ensure that parents play their full part in guaranteeing good behaviour, and we will be outlining stronger sanctions for those who don't.
The new Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has said the country's future lies with Europe. Speaking at his inauguration this morning, he vowed to work towards making Ukraine a full member of the EU. He insisted that Crimea, which was annexed by Russia in March, would always be part of Ukraine's territory. Reports from Iraq say dozens